Are you asking or somehow managing to get her to be an exception to the rule to allow her to stay in the United States?
Margaret, I spent about 3 hours or so over at the Eloy Detention Center and met with two women. One was Maria, the one you just mentioned, whose son was a U.S. Marine, whose daughter-in-law was a U.S. Marine. And the daughter-in-law needed to have an operation, so she came from New Jersey. She's lived in the country for 20 years, and then she winds up in CBP custody. I asked her about when her son graduated from boot camp and how that made her felt. She started crying and said it was so proud. She was so proud that her son was a U.S. Marine. He's about to re-enlist. This woman is no threat to society. I also met a business owner who's been in the United States for over 20 years. She's got 70 employees. She's got 3 restaurants. She's about to open another one. Again, this is a mom. Her daughter's a U.S. citizen. Her mother's a U.S. citizen. Sister's a U.S. citizen. Husband's a U.S. citizen. Neither of these women are a threat to society. And what I saw at Eloy were a lot of moms and grandmothers who could be out with their families, who could be going to work as they go through whatever immigration process they're in. And for Maria, the mom of the Marine, there is a process that for somebody on active duty, that their parents have a process to become a permanent resident and eventually a U.S. citizen. And this is not where we should be. And I don't think this is what the American people wanted. Margaret, the border security issue under President Biden was not working, and I pushed the administration on that. But we have now swung drastically in another direction, and I don't think this is what the American people want either.
Well, to your point, though, President Trump won your state by almost 6 points in November, and you know immigration was one of his top promises to go ahead with this crackdown. And you did say you want more done. Is there a benefit to Arizona that just came from this massive infusion from taxpayer dollars into mass deportations? Or are you saying here that these personal cases show that the entire process is flawed?
I think right now I think you have to draw a distinction with what is going on at the border and enforcing border security and making sure fentanyl isn't coming through our southern border, but also the smuggling of migrants. That wasn't working. But rounding up people in their communities and mass deportation and ICE agents showing up masked at schools. I've been trying to help out a kid that's in detention. He was 14 years old. He lives in Chandler, Arizona, and he was picked up going to school. I had another situation here with a kid who was on his Little League trip in a baseball tournament. Border Patrol pulls over the vehicle, identifies the brown kid. He winds up in lockup for a week. Now, we were able to get him out. He was 13 years old on a baseball trip. Yeah. This isn't what the American people wanted, and I don't think it's consistent with our values.
Well, Senator, this